Hi everyone, my name is Ibreez and I work as an internal medicine trainee in the United Kingdom, and this lesson is on foundation training or not. If this is the first time you're checking out our channel, welcome. Basically what we do is we run a website that's totally free known as road2uk.com, and it will explain the ins and outs about everything related to the United Kingdom and what it takes for you to work as a doctor in the NHS. So if you've not already, please stalk us on all of our social media. Find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter, Instagram, and of course, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. So when you finish med school, you may think, well, what do I want to do next? Do I want to do my internship back home, or do I want to go to the United Kingdom and do my internship? So let's talk a little bit about that. So when you apply for internship in the United Kingdom, you go through the UKFP, or the United Kingdom Foundation Program Organization. They're the guys who have this whole setup about how and what you need to do and what things you need to submit in order to complete your internship in the UK. This is what their local graduates apply for when they finish up their med school as well. All right, so this internship in the United Kingdom consists of FY1 and FY2. In the United Kingdom, when a medical student finishes their med school, they are granted provisional registration by the General Medical Council, or the GMC. This provisional registration means that they have to do this internship, this FY1 year, under the UKFPO before they are given full GMC registration. Okay, they cannot just apply. If you have provisional registration, you cannot just apply for a job. You need full registration for that. So upon completion of this FY1 year, it then becomes full registration, and they must complete an FY2 year. All right, so that's 2 years that you would complete in this UK internship as an FY1, FY2, and you don't have to worry about CREST if you do this, because you are meeting those competencies along the way. All right, if you have an internship back home that meets GMC's acceptable pattern of internship criteria, if you go through their website and you see, yes, my internship has this, it has this, it has this, then you don't need to worry about doing an internship in the United Kingdom, because your internship will be accepted at the level for which you would receive full GMC registration. So you would basically be at the same place as someone who's just completed FY1. So you would be at an FY2 level in that you have full GMC registration. Okay? You don't need to be concerned about doing your internship in the UK, and honestly, you wouldn't even be able to apply because you already have full registration, and it's for somebody who has provisional registration. Another thing you need to keep in mind is when you apply for internship in the United Kingdom, like I said before about the application process and the things that you need to submit, there's just a certain amount of time within which you must apply, and then you've got to wait and you've got to rank your preferences of which hospital you want to work at, and then you'll hear back, and then you've got to wait until August for it to start. This isn't true for a non-training job. You can apply whenever you want to apply, whenever there's an availability to apply, and then you can start as soon as that post is available to start whatever duration of time that you see appropriate for yourself. All right. A lot of people have this misconception that if you do your internship in the UK, you get something special, or you get some sort of extra bonus or anything like that. There's nothing like that at all. The only real difference is that you have to worry about getting your CREST form signed if you don't do your internship in the United Kingdom. So I don't know if you guys have seen it, but we have another course extensively discussing what the CREST form is and how you can put it together and what you need to complete it. But in brief, let me just tell you that for your CREST form, these are your competencies for your FY2. So you've not done an FY2 year, but you're showing that you've done the stuff at that level to show that you have the equivalent competencies, okay? So from CREST 2020, they've added some extra stuff, so you should really go through it and see if you've meet all of these requirements. Technically speaking, you can also get this signed off back home if you have a willing and qualified individual to sign off on it. But you need to ensure that everything that's mentioned in this competency form is something that you've already done, and then get it signed off back home. You need to at least work for 3 months back home or in the United Kingdom to get it signed off. So I want to throw in another term now that might confuse you all a little bit, but I just want to then go through each part and re-explain so you can understand where I'm coming from. A lot of people then ask well, can I apply for an FY2 LAT or a FY2 standalone post? All right, what this post is, basically, you are someone who is applying for a training level post, Okay, as an FY2, it's just 1 year that you would be doing as an FY2. You aren't concerned as an FY1. And within this 1 year, you are going through rotations like any other FY2 under the UK internship would, 4 months duration each, through different specialties, all right? When you rank these specialties, you may be able to see what the rotations are, but it's not a guarantee that you get those exact rotations. So that's something to keep in mind. Versus when you are applying for a non-training FY2, you are able to see in your job application what rotations or where you would be working, and it would be that. You would be applying for exactly that. So in a standalone post, we've had people message us who've told us, you know, I applied for a standalone because I didn't want to worry about CREST, or I wanted to get my head around this whole training system in the UK, and then I wanted to apply for, let's say, internal medicine training, but unfortunately the rotations I got for my FY2 standalone were psychiatry, GP, and obs-gynae. And that can happen. So that is something that you need to keep in the back of your mind. It's not very easy to switch out or swap these rotations. Now you can still argue, if you're very proactive, you can do all the things you need to put together a good portfolio for internal medicine training, even with these rotations in hand. But personal suggestion, you could still do it as a non-trainee. Another point of argument is that as a FY2 standalone trainee, you get the benefit of having an educational supervisor, a clinical supervisor, and a portfolio in the structured training. But that doesn't mean as a non-trainee you would be completely without all of these things. While you wouldn't have an educational supervisor, you still have a right to have a clinical supervisor. This would be somebody that you would be working under, maybe one of the consultants that you are working under. You just need to speak to them about it, that, hey, could you please be my clinical supervisor, so they can help you set those targets towards that goal that we discussed earlier, okay? When you do this, they can help you also chalk out that plan about how you can go about and progress in your specialty training application. And then, since you're already in good terms with this individual, you can also show them the CREST form that you need filling out, and make sure that you are doing all the things mentioned in that CREST form to ensure that your competencies are done. Now, if you're concerned about not having a portfolio or wondering how you can put together a portfolio, go and speak with your postgraduate medical education center, okay? Many of these PGMEs or PGMCs will offer you a free Horus e-portfolio, all right? This portfolio is exactly what a trainee would get, and you can see and put in there what you need to show to your clinical supervisor to show that, yes, I am achieving these competencies, I am doing what is required of me, so that I can then get my CREST form signed off. So, in sum, you have the option of doing internship in the UK, but like I said, there are extra exams besides PLAB 1 or PLAB 2 that you may need to take into consideration. There's only a certain period of time within which you can apply for it, and there's not a guarantee about where you get in. 2, you can complete an acceptable pattern of internship back home, and then either back home or in the UK get your CREST form signed off. Or 3, you can choose to apply for an FY2 standalone. There is one more thing about the standalone that I forgot to mention. When you sign up to do a standalone, you are contracted for 1 full year. So that means that you have to complete that full year in order to get all of the benefits of that post, okay? So a non-training post you can see it, I mean, on NHS jobs, it might be 6 months, it might be 1 year, it might be more, it might be less. But with this FY2 standalone, you can't just leave it and say, well, no, I don't want to work at this hospital anymore. You're out of that program, then you don't get those competencies. If you're otherwise a pretty qualified individual back home, it would make more sense to apply for a non-training post and then get your CREST and then progress onwards, rather than committing yourself to another full year of something that you would have to complete and then apply for your specialty training. That being said, you have all the information in front of you. You should make the decision that's best and right for you, not just based on what someone tells you or what someone else thinks is best for you. So just taking into these points into consideration, just see what makes sense for you. For instance, what I did was I started off in a non-training CT1 level post. I spoke to my clinical supervisor. I was given a clinical supervisor, told them exactly what I wanted to do. I also went to my PGME in my hospital. They gave me a Horus e-portfolio. I chalked out my plan there, and I submitted the information of the things that I was doing. In 3 months' time, I had my CREST form signed. And that is very possible. In that whole duration, because I had a pretty nice rotation, I started off in A&E,
Then I had hematology, oncology, and then I had stroke medicine. And with that, I was also doing medicine on calls. I had a very well-rounded structure before I applied for my internal medicine training application. So I had a pretty good portfolio as well, because I was taking advantage of all the things that was available to me. And I was also speaking to my consultants, asking them what else I could do to make sure that my application was well-founded. So being told that a non-training job means that you can't get any of these things is frankly not true. You do need to be a little bit proactive. And even in a training post, if you just sit in the back bench and you don't speak up and you don't make yourself available, things are not going to be handed to you. Every aspect of training is a competitive process, and it's just up to you to be a part of that competition and make sure that you are doing everything that you can do to the best of your ability. So I hope this whole ramble that I've made about whether or not you should do foundation program kind of makes sense to you, and that you have all the information at your hands to make an informed decision, because really at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Also, last point that I really want to make, if you've already done some work as a non-trainee and you've gotten your CREST form signed off, there's no benefit in then doing an FY2 standalone. A lot of times people ask us this question, you're not going to get anything extra or a bonus, okay? I hope that makes sense, and we'll wrap up this lesson and move on to whether or not to do core training.